whole thing kind of dragging on. Of course, it's going fast for me because I'm doing this with you guys. Hi, Beth. How you doing there in Naperville, Illinois? And Christine Kraling down there in the Lehigh area. And Jeanette Persons. You guys are always like first into the classroom. Lisbon, North Dakota is where you are, Jeanette, and Deborah Robertson. So anyway, this is May 13th. May 13th, can you believe it? It's like almost June. It's almost summer. This is, in case you were wondering, it is National Apple Pie Day. But don't worry, before you start baking or getting all freaked out that it's going to make you gain weight, it's also International Hummus Day. Now, that's a health food. Do you guys find that when you glom onto a health food that you actually like, then you think, I can eat as much of this as I want because it's a health food. Like nuts are good for you, right? I love roasted and salted pistachios, but I looked at the back and like a handful, I mean, it would be a good handful, are like over 100 calories. So we have to, and so I did a whole chapter on this in the book. It's chapter 16. It's entitled, Did You Know Chocolate Makes Your Clothes Shrink? I'm confused. Is chocolate on the no-no list? Traditionally, it's been an indulgent dessert, but these days, I see dark chocolate on almost every list of superfoods. So the way I look at it, that means that dark chocolate must slow down the aging process. I mean, come on, maybe it's not true, but do we dare take a chance? If we weren't meant to have midnight snacks, why is there a light in the fridge? So recently, I'll just do 2 paragraphs. Recently, I finished eating dinner with my family and experienced that weird, uncomfortable phenomenon of actually still being hungry. How can that be? It didn't make any sense, but there it was for me to deal with. I tried very discreetly so that my family wouldn't notice to toast a whole wheat English muffin and then add some raspberry jam. I justified it by telling myself that it was my dessert. In fact, wait, better yet, I thought this is actually a health food. I mean, come on, it is a serving of whole grains and a serving of fruit. Yeah, that's what it is. I was thoroughly entertaining myself so much with that rationale that I actually laughed out loud. Suddenly, I noticed that my kids and my husband had looked up at me in sync and saw that I was eating something more after we had all just finished having dinner. So busted. But I want to talk today about our health, but not just about health food and about, doctors and, all the annual checkups we should have. I want today to talk about what makes a strong woman. We're continuing this National Women's Health Week. And I think that that's the part of being a strong woman is really having our resilience and our fortitude and the right attitude and zest for life. Because to me, all those things also make a strong woman. I talk about this, that it's actually a chapter in my book. It's called Strong is the New Skinny. And I really, really believe that. And I'm going to just read you a little bit because it's the perfect setup for my guest today. If you had asked me when I was in my 30s what I wanted to change about my body, I would have said without a doubt, I want to be skinny. Today, while I watch my weight, the answer to that same question would be much different. I'd say, I want to be strong, healthy, resilient. After a recent workout, I found myself standing in my bathroom deciding whether or not to step on the scale. I don't know about you, but I even take my earrings off before I get on the scale to weigh myself. On this day, however, I stood there looking at my naked image in the mirror, and I consciously decided that the number on the scale was not what I needed to see. Instead, I opted to just look at that strong, confident, healthy image staring back at me. I asked myself whether I felt energetic and happy, or did I feel stressed? It occurred to me in that moment that I had come to a turning point in my life. I was now measuring my fitness by how I was dealing with life and by how I was managing my health. That was when I realized that I care more about being strong than I do about being skinny. How would you describe a strong woman? I'm guessing you wouldn't say that it's someone who can bench press more than their trainer. In fact, I imagine you're more likely to say she's someone who has the fortitude and the resilience to elegantly navigate the challenging times in her life and who shows strength in her ability to lift others up when they need help. And that's really what we were talking about in this issue. This is the current issue of Woman's Day magazine. Got a little shout out there for my guest today, TV legend Joan Lunden's De-Stressing Secret. But, you know, we talked about this with all of the different people that we had in our kind of state of the state, if you will, on being a strong woman. And they were from all different, here they are, here's a picture of them. They were from all different kinds of backgrounds, different kinds of professions. And we asked them about what constituted a strong woman. And we're going to talk about some of their answers, which I loved. But today I'm also going to be talking with a fabulous woman. Love her. She is a powerhouse in the publishing industry, and she's just really a firecracker. And her name is Meaghan Murphy. And after 6 years as executive editor of Good Housekeeping magazine, she was recently named the chief content editor of Woman's Day magazine. So we're going to talk today with Meaghan about all these women who were in, like, I think 40s and 50s. And I also want to ask some of the questions that we asked the women of Meaghan. So let's have Meaghan join us now so we can talk. Hey, how you doing?
Good.
You're also working from home?
I'm working from my 9-year-old daughter's bedroom, who also did my makeup.
Oh, that can either go really great or real.
I don't know. It's the first time I'm looking in the mirror. I'm like, okay.
That could go south. I saw a piece last night on, I think, Inside Edition, showing a guy who let his little daughters take the razor and shave his hair.
Oh no.
All we have to say is, don't worry, it'll grow out.
Right? I mean, she's been watching all these YouTube tutorials and she's really into it. So how could I say no?
Oh, that's so much fun. So listen, this roundtable, and I enjoyed doing it. Thank you for asking me.
Oh my goodness, yes.
When we said what constitutes being a strong woman, I loved that one of the women said, to not be afraid.
Yep.
I think a lot of women, we do have more of a tendency to be afraid, don't we?
100%. 100%, right? There's some of that inherent fear.
And I love that almost all of them said, you got to figure out how to stand up for yourself and be able to say no. Remember, we all talked about no as a complete sentence. And a lot of us just don't know how to say no, and we don't know how to ask for help. So I'm curious, what does it mean to you to be a strong woman?
I think right now it means to be vulnerable. It means to know that I don't have all the answers, that I'm sometimes overwhelmed, that I'm a really crappy homeschool teacher to my 3 kids, that I'm starting a new job from quarantine and it's hard. So for me right now, the strength comes in admitting those vulnerabilities and admitting that I don't have all the answers and that I'm struggling.
I love that answer because, you know, you've been such a powerhouse in the publishing industry, and people kind of sometimes, I think, would look at you and say, oh my God, she's like, has no trouble like telling everybody what to do. And that it's also important to allow yourself to feel vulnerable without feeling guilty about it.
It's also the only way to get help, right? And if you open yourself up in that way, then you can actually get help and move through things that are challenging. I mean, I never want to put on airs of like, this is so easy, I got it figured out. I've never been so vulnerable in my life, and I'm really trying hard.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Like you took that job. I think we shot in February for the May issue. Yeah. And right before my book came out, which is March 10th. And you literally, I think that was one of your first first days we were moving into your office as we were doing
Yes,
photo
I
shoots.
never even did move into the office. So the office is now my kitchen table, my daughter's room when I need quiet. It's been a pretty surreal way to start a job, but also
And
just
such a big job.
a big job and a fun challenge. My book is due, and my book comes out in February, so I'm finishing my book as well. It's due May 22nd with the final cuts. So, there's a lot, but it's I'm trying to embrace it as a fun challenge and find the yay.
And tell everybody what the name of the book is going to be.
So the book is called The Fully Charged Life, and it's a radically simple guide to having endless energy and filling every day with yay. And I must say, I'm using the science-backed strategies and tips and tricks in this book now more than ever, and grateful for some of the tools and resources I've sort of learned after my 25 years as a magazine editor.
You have to know that this group who join me, a lot of them join me every day, we've been talking about all of that. So they're like, made to order for you and what you're writing about.
I'm going to come back every day for lunch. I love this crowd.
Yes, isn't it awesome?
It's really
neat. We also said behind every strong woman is another strong woman. Who is that in your life?
My mom is pretty darn awesome. She is relentlessly confident. And now I'm trying to really be a mom mirror for my daughter to sort of show her that same relentless confidence. I think that if you are kind and confident in life, everything is always possible. But those are the two fundamental characteristics that I learned from my mom and that I'm really trying to instill on my daughter and my two sons.
And my mom, she was definitely my role model. And I saw her really always be able to somehow dig down in and get that resilience to face the challenging times. But the other thing is that she was just effervescent. She was happy all the time. And if we bickered, she'd come in like 30 minutes later and say, all right, so what are we going to do this afternoon? And that, without even saying it, taught me the importance of letting go of things, letting things roll off your back. There's nothing to be gained by holding on.
Exactly. We got to make like Elsa, let it go.
Yes, absolutely. And that's kind of how a daughter would understand that these days. I love one of the women we had was in the service, and she said that her mom was a high school principal and always had to kind of have that same kind of strength and resilience, and that strong woman in her life is what was her absolute guide, and that she ended up going to the military, but that it was hard in the beginning. Even though she had that role model, she said the idea of her being in charge of a bunch of men was just such a foreign concept. That now, but you're in charge. You've been in charge of magazines.
Yeah, and you know what I mean, like, but I have my moments of imposter syndrome, right? I mean, I think everybody has those moments of like, wait a second, am I really running this magazine? Am I really gonna like write this book and sell this book? Penguin Random House is trusting me to put out a book. I mean, who doesn't have those moments? I like myself, I believe in my abilities, but I still definitely have those moments of like, am I really doing this? My friend Kate Parker wrote Strong as the New Pretty, best-selling author, really incredible woman. And she was the one that sort of gave me permission to have those moments and realize like, no matter how successful you are, there is definitely going to be those little moments of like, holy smokes, pinch me. I'm really in charge.
Yeah, absolutely. Were you always comfortable calling the shots?
I don't want to say always comfortable, but I always called the shots. I'm the oldest of three, so I was always the big sister. And I had a mom who was vocal and stood up for herself. And I mean, that's all I knew was that you speak up, you stand up, you lead. I was class president, most school spirit, all the things.
What a shock.
I didn't know any different. I mean, that I was lucky enough to be empowered that way from a young age.
So we have a lot of people saying, hi, Anime Foley. Hi, Meaghan. Good to see you. Jan Adams, I'm watching during my lunch at work. I wonder if are you actually at work, Jan, or are you at home at work? Candy Fox Merkin, she's just trying to be part of us today. Ida Vasily says, strong is adaptation to the good, the bad, and the ugly. Oh, yeah. Candy Troy is saying, hi, you're my hero. Hi from Laura Morton. Tammy Moore is saying hi today from Carlton, Texas. And I hope I get your name right. Kairui is saying hi from Malaysia.
Wow.
And Diane Clothier Jewel says strong women must learn to be flexible in capital letters. If you don't bend, you will self-destruct. There she is. We see it right there on the screen. And you are so, so right, Diane. You really do have to be flexible. And that's even how you have to lead, right? I mean, what makes a good leader? Because you're a leader.
I think for me right now, it means that people come first. I care about how my staff is doing before I care about how they're performing. Are you okay? Are you stressed out? Are you lonely? Did you get enough sleep? Are you taking care of you? These are people first, right? The work comes second. We are not curing coronavirus. We're hopefully making the world a little bit more entertaining, maybe teaching you a few things. But I am trying to lead from a place of people first and then putting everything through a fun filter, because I feel like we're lucky enough to get to create content and to tell these fun stories. So let's have fun doing it, and let's make sure that it's a fun experience for everyone involved.
The first question that comes to my mind is, would I hear the same thing out of a male leader?
Maybe not, but I'm leading a lot. I'm leading, my creative director is a male, and I think he is feeling a lot of freedom and excitement and creativity in the fact that, listen, we're putting everything through this fun filter. I'm putting people first, because you know what? If you're not okay, you're not going to do good work.
Well, but I always, to me, when I see Women's Day magazine, I think about fun ideas, simple ideas, great little recipes, stories about women who have made it through challenging times. They're sharing their stories. Are you going to change it at all, or is that kind of the essence of Women's Day?
I'm moving it a little bit forward. So my first issue will be, my first real big issue where I have an impact will be a summer issue. And we're really going to make Women's Day destination celebration, that from National Hot Dog Day to Christmas, no holiday left behind. We're going to be the place you go to find the yay, to fill your days with yay, and to get excited about little reasons to celebrate. On our Instagram channel, we just launched something called WD Celebrates, and every Monday we put a calendar out of things to celebrate. So you're mentioning like National Chocolate Cookie Day, Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, National Apple Pie Day, National Friendship Day. We want to give people reasons to get excited. Like Taco Tuesday should be a big deal.
We did Taco Tuesday. We had tacos last night. Absolutely.
That's the thing. I want to be that for people, a reason, an escape to celebrate and to find the joy, to find the yay in life.
Well, due to the fact that I start every single day with whatever international or national, and it's a crazy list.
I love it.
Crazy list. And we start with all that every day. You know, we always tell women, take care of your own health. We're our best advocate, and we are. But part of taking care of your health is also taking me time. And that's sometimes hard. I'm going to admit it was hard for me my whole life. To me, if I lay down on the sofa to read a book, I immediately felt like guilty because I was being lazy. And it's taken me a long, long time to realize the importance of, you know, honoring my own health. How do you take care of yourself?
It's funny. So it's changed a little bit during quarantine. One of my favorite ways to take care of myself is with manicures. I love to match my manicure to the cover of the magazine.
I'm hiding them.
I'm like stranger danger. I like coloring my hair and getting blowouts. Like those are normal ways that I really do indulge and feel good about myself and take time for me. The workouts are key. Getting up early and fitting in fitness. I'm normally going to the gym with like a good vibe tribe of women that I really care about, but now I'm doing Zoom workouts and riding my Peloton. I've returned to running. So that is my escape. I hadn't run in 2 years, and now I'm like, put on my sneakers, get me out of the house. I don't want to be a teacher, a wife, a mom, anything right now. I just want to be a runner, and I want to be free.
So let's put back up Cheryl Ann Cunningham. She is saying, I think that one way to handle things is to clarify to yourself, what is the problem facing you and what are my priorities for handling it? And then it seems clear. And that's so true. I've always said the most important things we say all day long are the things we say to ourselves. And like you can either decide that you're overwhelmed or you can decide that you're okay with it.
Yes,
right?
I love that advice. I mean, I also think talk to yourself the way you would talk to your child. I mean, would you tell your child that their thighs are too big and that they, like how would you the way I talk to me is the same way I need to talk to my children and to my family, etc. Show yourself that same kind of love, kindness, and compassion.
Thinking of advice, one of the questions that you guys told me to ask the ladies on our roundtable, and it's a question that I get asked a lot, and that is, what advice would you give to your younger self? One of the women said, I would have followed the words of Nelson Mandela. I never lose. I either win or I learn.
I love that.
I loved that. So what advice would you give to your younger self?
My advice would be don't change a thing. Every hardship, every challenge, every bad haircut was a lesson learned 100%. And I wouldn't have arrived in this fully charged place that I'm in right now if it weren't for those collective experiences. So don't change a thing. Hang tight. It's going to be okay.
And I would probably say, don't take everything so personally.
Yeah.
You know, I loved it that one of the one in the military, she said when first she would go in and this guy would be up in front of them screaming at them, you know, you're all a bunch of this. And she said she would take it all so personally and be like wilting, and the emotion would be coming up in her body. And the guys next to her would like leave and move on and go have lunch, that it wouldn't affect them at all. Do we almost make ourselves victims as women?
I think we everybody, men and women, take things too personally, and I think we have to realize it's real. People are self-obsessed, self-absorbed for the most part, and they're not that worried about you, right? So it's usually not about you; it's about them anyway. So even when someone's hating on you, it's really a reflection of how they feel about themselves and has nothing to do with you. If we kind of remember that people are really sort of always looking in, it's hardly ever about us, and what's the point of taking it personally?
That's so good. Can we put Joyce Grabo back up? She says, Women's Day is the best magazine. They gave me my first chance as a designer by putting my project on their cover. All right, Joyce Grabo.
Yay, Joyce.
Yes. And then you also just had Advice to Younger Self by Linda Griffin Thomas. Advice to younger self: don't worry about starting over. It just means you didn't quit. And going forward, as we live longer and longer, I think that starting over and reinventing ourselves is going to be the name of the game for everyone.
100%. I think that that's sort of the gift of this pandemic pause, if you will. We've all kind of stopped, and it's a moment to take stock and to sort of feel like, hey, what really matters? What do we really care about? I mean, for some of us, we've already lost everything, so there's nothing to lose. Like, what chance can I take? What skill can I learn? What is my next best step? I mean, I think in some ways it's the gift of a clean slate and a chance to move forward with excitement.
And I just heard this morning that 42% of the jobs lost probably won't be jobs there afterwards. So it's not only the longer life, but everyone's going to have to start, I guess, assessing their own skills, but also just broadening their idea of what they could possibly do. And the problem is that sometimes when they say, well, I can't do that, but it's only based on the fact that they've never done it before.
Exactly.
But if they just let themselves try it, they might be great at it.
Exactly. And I think this is really a moment where some of those skills can be honed and emerge. I sort of always say to people, like, what do your friends ask of you? What do they come to you for? That's your gift. How do you work with that?
I love that. I mean, that could be anything from jewelry making to knitting to baking cookies. I mean, any of those things could be turned into a career.
For even like the friend that you're like, okay, what paint color should I paint here? If I'm always coming to you for that, that means you know something about paint colors. Maybe you have a future in design. Maybe there's an online course you can take. For me, a lot of people always came to me for my energy. You have so much energy. You have so much energy. How do I bottle that energy? That's part of the reason my book was born, because I wanted to be able to harness that. So what do people come to you for? That's your gift. And how do you turn that into a career?
I remember when my kids were young and Lindsay was, I don't know, 6, 7 years old, and she was sitting with a bunch of her friends in the family room. I was in the kitchen and they were all talking about what their parents did. One's a lawyer, one's a dentist. And it got to Lindsay and she said, my mom talks. I was like, pretty true. Pretty true. Lisa McCartney says, we have to learn to be better at compartmentalizing. Because see, men are really good at that. Mm-hmm. They can listen to something and they're like, all right, fine. I'll just put it over there. It'll deal with it. But in the meantime, I'm just going to get on with it. We have to become a little bit better. We could learn that art really was what it is from men. Diane Jules says, don't be afraid what people think of you because they're probably not thinking of you at all.
Exactly.
Oh, and Jamie Hess, which we'll talk about this. Jamie Hess, she's watching Yay Fitness, YAY. So we should say there is a new wellness podcast. It's called Off the Gram, and Meaghan is one of the hosts, and my daughter Jamie is also one of the hosts. And tell us who the other two hosts are. And here it is. You're going to see it right there, Off the Gram.
Oh my goodness! So
where do people find this?
So it's anywhere podcasts are, anywhere you can download a podcast. And it is, I should probably put my glasses on, but it's Heidi Christopher and NYC Pretty, a fellow former magazine editor. And we really tackle incredible topics in the wellness industry with some really awesome guests. We did a special quarantine edition where we've had some relationship experts and stress relief experts. We talked about tapping, all kinds of different things.
Oh, yeah. I talked about tapping with Nick Ortner.
I know, you scooped us.
And like a couple days later, you had, what's the sister's name?
We had her sister, Jill.
Yes. Okay.
Was it Jill or Jen? Oh, my goodness. My brain is fried.
Have you tried that? I actually did. One night when I have a hard time. Sleeping has always been my nemesis. Trying to get to sleep. And then when you wake up, getting back to sleep. And I used to, my whole life was based around what time did I get to sleep? Because I knew I had to get up at 3:30. How many hours did I get? And I still am I still kind of run my life that way. So one night right before I had him on, I'd been reading the book, I'd been watching the video. So I'm there in bed and I'm like, all right, I'm doing this. And what it did is it took my focus away from the list of things I was thinking about that was keeping me up. And got me focused on just my own, I don't know, whatever they are, biorhythms. And it did help me go to sleep.
I want to try it with my 9-year-old. Sleeping is my superpower. I can just shut off, but I want to try it with my 9-year-old who has a very hard time falling asleep and managing stress. So I'm like, I've been meaning to try it with her.
So Sherry Pollard says, Jamie always makes fitness look fun. That's true, isn't it?
She's the best.
I spawned that little fitness maniac. That came from me.
One of the good things.
I want to see Shauna again.
Which Jamie and I can do Zoom workouts together now, which is like my happiness, my silver lining in all of the pandemic.
I know, because and she starts every day by telling everybody 5 new workouts. And out of those 5, you can find one that's really awesome. Shauna DiMattina says, Off the Gram is so inspiring. I always walk away with a few steps I can put to action right after.
I love that.
Don't you love that, Meaghan?
That's the gift of what we get to do, is to be able to help inspire people, give people, good takeaways. I love that. That's what it's all about.
Sue Jeffries is saying, we're glad you talked, Joan. We like to listen. Look, I'm here in the middle of this pandemic, and my husband constantly says to me, what are you doing that for? Your jobs were all canceled, which of course we're all speaking in different parts of the country. And he says, you're always booking people and you're always writing interviews. And I said, I know, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
I am, and it makes the days go by too.
Well, it's also a gift. It's a gift to all these listeners to be able to have something to look forward to and some comfort every day.
And so it's like unwrapping my gift. To have a gift and not to unwrap it and share it is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So one of the women, when we talked about what is it to be strong, she said, closed mouths don't get fed. I thought that was very interesting, because what she's saying is that as women, we just don't tend to say what we really think. We don't tend to ask for what we want, and men do. So I can't even imagine you being that person. I can't imagine you not like speaking up and saying what you want.
I have a big mouth. I've always had a big mouth, and I'm not afraid to use my mouth to help others. But I think the thing to just remember is it's that closed mouths don't get fed. If we don't speak up, people don't know what we need. It goes back to that vulnerability. I need to be able to say out loud, I'm drowning here in homeschool. I can't juggle it all. I don't want to do another load of laundry. We have to be able to voice our needs in order to get help, because no one's a mind reader.
And that to me, like in families, women are more inclined to just do it themselves and be a martyr. Because why? Nobody makes the bed quite as well as we do. Nobody packs the dishwasher quite as well as we do. I made a deal with my husband. Whoever gets out of bed last has to make the bed. Okay, so I always get out of bed last. I had enough years of waking up at 3:30. And then he said, okay, and if I'm going to get out of bed first, I'll bring you coffee. I was like, win, win, and win.
That's amazing.
You guys in magazines use the term girl power and woman power. They've really become buzzwords, but what makes you feel powerful?
Anytime I'm able to spread contagious kindness and energy. So if I'm able to share something that sparked something in someone else, that I feel happiest, most fulfilled, most complete. Yesterday, I shared my kids and I, we blew off school, we went on a field trip and we snuck away, we rode our bikes and we swung on a rope swing instead of starting school. And I got about 15 to 20 messages of people who did the same thing this morning. And that is the most energizing, exciting thing, that I was able to be a highlight in quarantine for those other families, and to be able to share that moment of joy, that moment of excitement, to spark something in someone else.
I was asking people earlier, I'll have to go back and look at them, their answers as to whether the days were dragging on. Like, is this like, or, I mean, I bet for you and me, they're just like whizzing by. And it's because you're working there. I mean, this, my Facebook friend group, this has made the days whiz by. I want to just say to Ona Moore, today marks a milestone for me, 5 years as a breast cancer survivor. Yay. We have a number of women who join us as much as they can, and they are all going through treatment right now.
Okay.
And tomorrow we're going to actually be talking about mammograms, because a lot of the women have said, my mammogram was canceled. What am I going to do? And they were, but now places are opening back up. So we'll be talking about mammograms and dense breast tissue and all the things.
My mom's a survivor, so I appreciate that.
I'll be 6 years on June 5th. Yes.
We told your story in Good Housekeeping. I edited that.
I know. It was terrific. So I'm going to end with my favorite question.
Okay.
What would be the title of your memoir?
Well, so it's technically not a memoir, but my book is called The Fully Charged Life.
No, but if there was a memoir, if you wrote a memoir,
it would probably just be Yay.
That, or The Power of Yay.
The Power of Yay. I just wrote an article called The Power of Yay. But yes, so that is my other thing. I do something called the Yay list, and I find things that make me say yay every day. It's sort of like a gratitude journal 2.0. And that's, so that I think my memoir after The Fully Charged Life will be Yay or The Power of Yay.
Well, to know you is to know the power of Yay.
Thank you.
So I'm enjoying you on Off the Gram.
Thank you.
So I'll look forward to the book, and I'm a regular Woman's Day reader.
I love it.
So thank you for allowing me to be part of the May issue.
It's so good. Thank you.
Thank you so, and enjoy being the chief content editor of Women's Day, and we'll be watching for all the issues coming up June, July, and August during the summertime.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have the best day ever.
All right. Thanks, Meaghan. All right, everyone. tomorrow I'm going to be talking to Dr. Diane LaRusso, and she founded the Rye Radiology, which is the radiology lab where my cancer was found. But it's important. I want you to join me tomorrow because we're going to talk about dense breast tissue. I'd like to know how many of you actually know whether you have dense breast tissue, because before this last year or so, we were never told. Ironically, the doctor who wrote the prescription for that mammogram, which is usually gynecologists, they were told. But it's really important information that we need to know. And then on Friday, I've got Dr. Judy Garber. She's from the Dana-Farber Medical Center in Boston. And she also heads up all the scientists all around the world, like 276 of them, figuring out who's doing the most important research in the field of breast cancer. And so we'll find out, what's on the horizon, which is nice. We'll end our week with a good sense of hope. All right. So it's Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow, Thursday at the usual time. Namaste. Take care of yourself. Be careful if things are opening up, that you're still really careful. Okay, everybody? Bye-bye.